The Stoic Farmer, a love story of resilience, simplicity, and strength. In a world of constant noise and endless distractions, true love is often tested by life's unpredictable storms. But some love stories don't need grand gestures or poetic words. They thrive in silence, in unwavering commitment, and in the quiet strength of two souls facing life together. This is the story of John and Mary Thompson, an American farming couple who built their life on Stoic principles, accepting hardships, embracing simplicity, and finding love in everyday moments. Chapter 1. A Life Rooted in Simplicity. John Thompson was born into a long line of farmers in the Midwest. His father taught him that life doesn't owe you anything. You take what you get and make the best of it. Mary grew up in a small town nearby, raised by a schoolteacher mother who valued discipline and wisdom. When they met at a county fair in their early 20s, they quickly realized they shared a common belief. Happiness is not about avoiding difficulties, but about facing them with dignity. Their courtship was simple: long walks by the fields, conversations under the old oak tree, and letters exchanged during the cold winter months. When John proposed, he didn't make grand promises. He simply said, "I can't promise wealth, but I can promise that I will never complain about hardship, and I will always work beside you." Mary smiled and replied, "Then we'll be rich in the ways that matter." Chapter 2. The Storm That Tested Their Love. The first few years of their marriage were peaceful. They worked together. Mary handled the finances while John managed the fields. But in their 5th year, a devastating drought hit their farm. Crops withered, the soil turned to dust, and many of their neighbors gave up and left for the city. John refused to complain. What happens is beyond our control. How we respond is what matters. Instead of despairing, they adapted. Mary started growing vegetables in a small greenhouse, using water sparingly. John studied the land and found ways to preserve the soil. They cut expenses to the bare minimum, never blaming each other for their hardships. One evening, after another long hot day, Mary asked, "Do you ever feel bitter, John? That life is unfair." John took a sip of his coffee and said, "Nature doesn't work for us or against us. It just is. We can't ask the rain to come, but we can prepare the land so that when it does, we're ready." It was in these small, profound moments that their Stoic love grew stronger. Chapter 3. Loss, Grief, and Acceptance. Life, as the Stoics say, is unpredictable. Just as the farm started recovering, tragedy struck. Mary's mother, who had been their biggest supporter, passed away unexpectedly. The loss hit Mary hard. She withdrew into silence, struggling with the weight of grief. John didn't try to fix her pain. He simply stood by her, allowing her to grieve while he took on more work. One night, as they sat on the porch, John said, "Your mother lived well. She gave you wisdom, and now you carry her lessons forward. She would not want her absence to take away your strength." Mary nodded, wiping away tears. "You're right. Pain doesn't mean I have to stop living." From that day forward, she channeled her grief into work, dedicating herself to teaching local children about self-sufficiency and resilience. Her loss had become a lesson, not an obstacle. Chapter 4. raising children with Stoic principles. John and Mary eventually had 2 children, Emily and Luke. Unlike modern parents who shield their children from hardship, they taught their kids to embrace difficulties. When Luke failed a math test, Mary told him, "Failure is feedback. Study harder and try again." When Emily struggled with friendships, John said, "You can't control what others think. You can only control your actions." Their children grew up strong, independent, and emotionally grounded, a reflection of the Stoic love their parents embodied. Chapter 5: Aging Gracefully and Finding Joy in the Present. As the years passed, John and Mary's love deepened. They didn't buy luxury cars or take exotic vacations. Instead, they found happiness in small rituals: morning coffee, tending the farm together, and reading philosophy by the fire. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Mary asked, "Do you ever regret staying here all these years?" John chuckled. "Why would I? We lived fully, loved simply, and never wished for anything beyond what we had." Their life was not about avoiding pain or seeking fleeting pleasures. It was about embracing reality, no matter what came their way. Conclusion: the Stoic legacy they left behind. John and Mary never became famous, but their story lived on in the hearts of their children and community. When John passed away at 83, Mary didn't crumble. She continued their work, knowing that love is not about holding on but about appreciating what was given. Their life was a testament to Stoic love, a love that endures, adapts, and thrives in simplicity. Final message: true love is not about avoiding hardship. It's about facing it together with strength, wisdom, and gratitude. If you ever feel lost in your relationships, remember John and Mary's story. Accept what you cannot change, focus on what you can, and love without expectation. What do you think of Stoic love? Would you choose a life of resilience over romance? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe for more inspirational stories.